This video is in case you haven't been interviewing recently, basically what's changed and what's still working in job interviews today. And I'll go through these chronologically, starting with some interview prep trends and close with some insight about the interview itself. The first thing, or I should say trend, is ChatGPT, which, as you may know, has been quite a buzzword as of recently. And I've actually been trialing its usage in various use cases, and I must admit it works great for crafting the best possible elevator pitch, as well as some other introductory questions such as why do you want to work here, or what's your strength, what's your weakness, or where do you see yourself in 5 years. Now, it of course matters how you build your prompts, but all in all, it's pretty useful. Now, a dangerous scenario for using ChatGPT is to answer behavioral questions. And the reason for this is, while it may give you convincing first answers, the temptation to clone them is significant. But even more importantly, those answers are pretty vague and might give you a false sense of quality. Just try to read them more carefully here. Okay. Second thing I wanted to talk about here is the tell me about yourself and other types of introductory questions, which I just talked about, tend to blend nowadays with behavioral questions. Tell me about the time when types of questions. So basically, if you do interview with a company in the near future, you should research if they have such behavioral questions. Almost everyone does it nowadays. And I'll be talking about prepping and passing behavioral interviews throughout this video. Just a quick note before that, something that worked 10 years ago and still does quite well is pen and paper. Okay, pen and paper is still one of the most efficient ways to prep. Also because, or maybe especially since, it reduces digital distractions. Okay, it's one of the most efficient ways to quickly come up with a story bank. Okay, next one. In the past, it wasn't such a big deal if your answer sounded a bit scripted. Nowadays, expectations have evolved a little bit. And just to give an example here. Dan, will you please introduce yourself? I'm an effective senior program manager with over 20 years of experience delivering complex programs for both government and the private sector, with successful track record of delivering multiple programs heavily geared towards IT, cloud, and business transformation, from design to implementation to handover and revenue recognition. Another interesting pattern I found with people I work with and who haven't been interviewing in a while is a tendency to focus too much on the quantitative side of their interview prep. Something like, I want to have 35 stories and I will do everything I can to achieve that goal. This is, of course, when compared to focusing on coming up with as many stories as you can at first, but then more importantly, channeling your efforts towards revising those stories. That is the qualitative approach to interview prep. Remember here, the best candidate is the one with the best stories. Okay. A quick note here before moving on. In the past, people used to prepare for behavioral interviews by answering as many questions as possible, whereas nowadays, as you may already know, it's more about building a proper story bank at first. Okay. Also, something you might be aware of is that using the STAR method to answer behavioral questions. I'm saying this because in the past, there used to be multiple such templates or variations for answering behavioral questions, but the STAR method is the clear winner, and I'd encourage you to use it too. And by the way, when you do, try to use language highlighting the hard work you did versus just bragging about highlights and results. Okay, next one, weaknesses. I work too hard or I pay too much attention to details are the perfect examples of turning a positive into a negative. And I know these were quite common in the past. I wouldn't recommend you go this route now, and better focus on something opposite of your area of expertise. For example, sales roles could focus on some technical domain expertise they want to become more familiar with. Okay, and by the way, in case you were wondering, public speaking is still the most commonly used weakness, but just ensure you prepare at least 3 of them, since there's also another trend these days. They will ask you for more than 1 weakness during the interview, right? Now, during your interview, Something which worked a long time ago and still does, and probably does even better today, is listening skills. Okay, so interviews have become highly structured. Okay, questions are no longer that much of a secret, and therefore, so long you know how to read a little bit between the lines and understand what they want, you'll be in a significantly better way to spot and tell them what they want to hear during your interview. Okay. Next one, and unfortunately this is a big one, stress shows. Okay. Now, it for sure also showed in the past, but nowadays the probability for a candidate to have this problem is far greater than, say, 5 years ago. Usually when I talk to someone, it takes me less than 5 minutes to spot this problem. So unfortunately, stress shows, and in job interviews in particular, okay? And by the way, don't confuse this with interview stress, which might actually play a positive role and could even motivate you to perform during your interview, okay? And finally, here's something you might not be aware of, is if your interviewer will take a ton of notes, it's likely because they will confront those notes with their colleagues. So basically, if you reuse your stories multiple times during your interview, then you risk being perceived as someone who's either unprepared, inexperienced for the job, or intentionally looking to influence the results, such as doing this in a bit to look more senior, right? So these were my key highlights. I hope you found this information useful, and thank you very much for watching.